Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another edition of the Refined Savage podcast. Let's do some business, and then we'll get on to this awesome show today. Viking Coffee. Viking Coffee, the best coffee in the world. Store-bought coffee is absolute garbage. Check out vikingcoffeeco.com. Use the code VikingCoffee10 at checkout. Get yourself some Old Man Strength coffee. Their Costa Rican blend is awesome. All their stuff is really good. He also has hats and mugs and t-shirts and all that stuff. Check him out. I love Evan Armstrong and Viking Coffee, and you will too. Give him a holler. Cerberus Strength. Cerberus. If we were allowed to compete in any kind of strongman, I don't know. Are they allowed to start competing in these now? I don't know. I'm not sure. Anyhow, when we were competing in strongman, Cerberus was all over the place. You have Cerberus-sponsored athletes. You have guys wearing Cerberus gear. It's the best for strongman. Once we start throwing hammers and stones again, I want to see Cerberus gear on all you Highland Games athletes. I love it. It's great stuff, super supportive, and the people who work at Cerberus are actual strength athletes. That makes a huge difference. Look, nobody at Rogue is turning a caber. I guarantee it. Check out Cerberus-strength.us. Use the code REFINEDSAVAGE10 at checkout for 10% off. Let me tell you about the nonsense, the absolute garbage I see in gas stations and in supermarkets where they're trying to sell you CBD oil. Look, not all CBD oil is created equal. I'm telling you, the stuff you're buying in states where CBD oil is not technically legal is just nonsense shit, essential oils. You want a company that walks the walk and has athletes actually using their product, and Warrior CBD has it. If you have aches and pains, check out their pain stick. It's amazing. If you have trouble sleeping or if you have anxiety, check out the sublingual drops. If you have a dog or a cat that's wigged out and crazy and freaks out at thunderstorms, check out their products for dogs. WarriorCBDofficial.com. Use the code Warrior20 off. Serious Steel, man, the best people on the planet. The customer service is out of control. I love those folks, and the products are amazing. If you have to outfit any kind of training facility, or if you just need something like a new set of knee sleeves or maybe a hip circle or something like that, give them a holler. SeriousSteel.com. Use the code SAVAGE at checkout for 10% off. Stay Classy Meats. Look, I just love Stay Classy Meats. Their bison, amazing. Their bacon, unreal. Their steaks, their chicken, their pork. It's all the best stuff. I just can't say enough about Stay Classy Meats. Small batch farms in Bozeman, Montana. These animals are living right. That's why they taste so fucking good when you eat them. Check them out, stayclassymeats.com. Use the code SAVAGE at checkout for 10% off. And finally today, the Breath Belt. The Breath Belt is an amazing product. I don't know how it works. I just know it does. Stability. Psoas, help with your tight psoas. Look, no matter your problem, the Breath Belt is going to help it. So if you have mobility issues, if you have hip mobility issues, if you have low back pain, if you have psoas issues, if you just need a solid belt that's going to help you brace for heavy lifts, the Breath Belt is the key. I wear one every time I lift something heavy. You should too. Check them out at thebreathbelt.com. Use the code SAVAGE20, SAVAGE, all caps, SAVAGE20 at checkout for 10%. For 10%, it's 20. God damn it. 20% off. So check it out. Today on the show, one of my favorite people on the planet. She has been one of my favorite people on the planet since maybe 1999, 2000. I'm not sure when I met her, but it was a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Back then, she was known as Adriane Blewett. Today, she is Adriane Wilson. Second time on the show, nice conversation, lots of fun, lots of insight from a lady who has done it all. So check it out, and we'll see you at the end. All right. So first and foremost, how's Ray?
Ray is doing well.
Let's get the important stuff out of the way.
Mama Bear Ray was having some back issues probably about 2 years ago, and just over some time going through physical therapy, injections, she went through every single avenue you can to try to figure out what's going on. But it was back and hip issues turned into leg pain, and it was debilitating for her. And she's just a go lady. She was always my little partner in crime when we travel around the Highland games. And
was it a disc or?
It was a combination of things. So definitely the spine was shifting. She didn't have any disc issues. It was mostly just the spine was moving, causing some nerve issues down the legs. So she was having this burning, stabbing, yuckiness in the legs constantly.
Yeah.
So when we did go to Germany last year in May, she was in a pretty much in a wheelchair the whole time.
What were you in Germany for?
A Highland game.
Which one?
It was just a small one.
You just went over to do that?
It was on my mom's bucket list to go to Germany, and I was contacted by Molly. And, and she so she and her boyfriend hosted it. It was a lot of fun.
But that's crazy. Have you talked to Molly? I mean, all of a sudden she was in Germany. She was with some guy. She was, I don't know.
She's still in Germany?
Are they married?
Still with the guy? I'm not sure.
I don't even know how that works over there. If you go over there, you become a German citizen and you get married. But yeah, I met her here. She did one of our competitions, and I love her. I think she's great.
She's awesome. Super host.
And also, she was over there.
Yeah.
And because she's had a bunch of medical issues too, from like training and stuff. And so she was kind of beat up there for a while.
And we keep doing it.
Yeah, right? And that's why we were just talking about going to see Adriane. And luckily, knock on wood, I haven't had to go see Adriane in a few months because nothing's too bad, but everything still hurts. I know.
But Ray's good. Ray's she should be released from the hospital by the end of the week.
So what do you do? Just go back there and hang out at the hospital with her?
Well, with the COVID stuff, everything's on lockdown.
That's right, because my father had to just drop my mom off and leave.
So I was able to be there for surgery day, and that was my one visitation day. And then my sister saw her yesterday, and that was her visitation day. But I snuck in afterwards just to see her again.
Yeah.
So, but I won't be able to go today or the rest of the week.
And I don't know, how bad were you guys hit down there? Were you guys,
South Carolina has been, it was different because Governor was really lax with everything. So it took us a while to shut things down. It took us not as long to open things back up again, but our numbers spiked pretty good. And I did my thing. Fortunately for me, my one gym that I work at, I work at two Athletes Arena, I got a special exemption. So we had just a small number of people in at a time, tested temperatures, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So I was able to work with just a few people and then train. And it was probably the best training I've had in a long time because I trained like I did when I was an athlete, where I had plenty of rest time. In the afternoons I went out and rode my bike, or I did something active and felt awesome.
Yeah,
the quarantine was good for me.
I'm not shutting down again. They keep talking about this second wave, and I told Aaron, I said, look, I'm just not shutting down again. They're going to have to come with guns and make me do it, because we voluntarily shut down the first time.
And you were very vocal about it too.
About what?
About shutting down.
Well, yeah. I mean, we just said, this is. I wasn't sure what we were dealing with at first. So, talking to Aaron, and it was like, well, I don't want anybody getting sick, because of us. So who knows what this was? So we shut down. But then, after a while, you started to realize that, okay, this isn't quite what we thought it was going to be. We don't have 10,000 new cases a day in Ohio, like they were saying. They were saying we're going to have 10,000 cases a day, and I don't know if we've even hit 20,000 cases total in Ohio, and it was too much. It was too much, and I always equate it to going into Iraq for the war. It was like, here we go, we're going to go in and bust everyone's ass, but there was no exit strategy. How do we get out of this?
Right.
And I don't know how you tell people now, go ahead, take your masks off. You're fine. Because the first time someone gets sick, they're going to sue the government,
Right.
So, yeah, I started to get as it was going on, and they kept pushing the dates further and further back, I was like, this is nuts. So we jumped on that lawsuit from Columbus, and the Pinnacle lawsuit, and they basically said they can't punish us for staying open or being open. So I'm going to jump on that as soon as they say this is another, the second wave or whatever.
How many plaintiffs did they have for that so far?
I think there's 43 of us, all in one class action. But what's cool is like now other businesses like Kings Island and Cedar Point, they jumped on our lawsuit and said, well, if you let them open, you have to let us open. So they're going through it now, but it's like everyone has to sue.
Are they open
now? Kings Island's open. What day is it? Yeah, Cedar Point's open too.
Okay.
But I think they're making you like schedule. So I don't know. One day they say that masks help. The next day they don't help. And you have people like this who wear masks outside, and it's just you can get it off a surface. You can't get it off a surface. Asymptomatic people are contagious. No, they're not contagious, and it's very 1984-ish.
That's a mystery.
Yeah. Yeah. And Joe, does he still own a bunch of restaurants?
No.
Sold
them all.
Oh, that's good. At least what's he doing now? Is he just
he's
living life? Selling trucks? Yeah.
Yep.
Is he digging that? I haven't seen him in forever either. When was the last time you were up here?
It's been a minute.
Yeah.
I came up for Christmas.
Okay, yeah. Last time you were Blind Dog, it was for Women's World, I think, right? Or maybe even the year before too. You came the year before. Then
to the Highlander and then the World next year.
Right. Yeah, it was. We're going to do the Highlander again. Not this year, but we're going to do it again. Hopefully.
You're not hosting an event in 2020?
No, we're not. You'll see the gym it's a lot smaller, so we're not going to be doing indoor events anymore. But we'll do the Highlander again. There's a beautiful vineyard right across the street from us, so. They got a vineyard, they have food, they have a big lawn, so we're going to go talk to them and see if they'll let us do
wine?
Yeah, right? So I saw you got to compete already.
I did.
One of the few people.
Yeah, so, fortunately we had January, so we had our East-West Challenge down in Orlando.
Oh, that's right.
Winter Springs. So that's always a fun game. Unfortunately,
did you do the Key West one too, or the marathon one?
That's usually the weekend before, so it's real tough to make it back to back.
Oh, right, yeah.
Maybe someday.
Yeah.
and then I got to do the Arnold. That was a weird experience.
What was that like?
Man, we knew that it was going to be just not the Arnold.
Right.
Going down to it, just with no vendors, no spectators.
Yeah.
We did see Arnold. He was there. So that's it. Check mark.
I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know if. All those vendors lost a ton of money.
For sure.
I talked to Matt. He was upbeat and positive, and no big deal. But
some of the smaller companies probably took a huge hit.
I think so, yeah. Because, some of those booths are incredibly expensive. I think for a while he was splitting a booth. It was Hate and whatever, donuts and deadlifts. Yeah. So I don't know what kind of hit those guys took, and if the convention center refunded any of that.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But competing there was fun.
Yeah.
It was just such an unusual circumstance for everything that we just had to go in it with just knowing that it's gonna be a fun day.
Yeah.
And so I was part of the pro teams. So Spencer and I were against Alyssa and
What happened?
No, I'm thinking
who's
there? Yeah.
Let someone hit the window.
No. But just the team stuff was super fun because we just knew we were just gonna be silly because we didn't have a crowd.
Right. Yeah.
We had friends and family kind of hanging out, but
how did they pay you guys for that?
They did. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so
same as the guys.
Yes.
That's what I like to hear.
Equal.
That's the way it should be. That was always my contention with this whole thing. We just had a podcast with Carrie and Craig, and we were talking about I don't know if they're going to do it. I hope they do it for the women. Did you see that Cabermetrics where they come out with the top 10 U.S. pros ever? That was pretty amazing. I don't know if they're going to do that for the girls or not, but they definitely should.
I believe they did. I think Jess is number one.
Breidenthal, really? Does that make sense?
Yeah, she does the world record in the heavyweight, and she's been at the world record for the sheaf.
Yeah.
So she's had some big numbers there, so mathematically, helps her out.
Yeah. Well, I think they had Spencer as number one, and Has he won? I don't know. Has he won a World Championships?
That's just won last year.
He won last year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. But he's always had. There's all been different countries, and he can't get out of the country half the time. So, we had Chuck Casson on the podcast.
I love Chuck.
I didn't know he was going to be on. Like, it was supposed to be me and Andy. And so Chuck shows up, and I'm like, and everyone was like, you didn't even ask him about the World Championships. I wasn't prepared. We sat down and we started talking. It wasn't even like, I wasn't prepared for a Chuck Casson interview.
Chuckles.
But he's a good dude. He's a real good dude. He's on that list too, and Carrie and Craig are both on there. I was not.
You weren't?
No, surprisingly enough. Yeah. Do you know who does that? Cabermetrics?
Oh, I don't
I don't even know either. If you don't put your name on Instagram, it's hard for people to figure out who you are.
I thought it was Adam Sizemore who knew. Who did
That would make sense if it was Sizemore.
Well, no. He knows the fellow who did it.
Oh, because Adam used to be that guy. God, that's a name I haven't heard in years. Adam Sizemore.
I went to his house a couple weeks ago and met up with Zach Riley and Alex Ballard and her dad, and we just threw.
That was that backyard.
Yeah, we just threw and had some fun. If you won the event, you're like, we'll take one more. We really didn't score or anything, but if we did, I won.
Right. That's you know what? That's before NASDAQ.
Okay, Brian Howenstein.
Good Scottish name.
So
Howenstein.
Go check out Adam Sizemore.
No.
Biscuits and Bull podcast. Yes. And you can listen to Brian. I'm going to listen to it on the way home. 57 minutes of pure joy right there. So.
Yeah, there's actually a Highland Games podcast out. This really isn't a Highland Games podcast.
No.
I just used to do Highland.
You just like talking to your friends.
Yeah, that's 100% what this is.
And thank you for my coffee.
Oh, of course. Yeah, we're at Brewed Awakening, so I always give them a plug in little downtown Vermilion. It's nice to see we don't have any Black Lives Matter protesters. Can you imagine? In this little town, we have protesters, and one guy was out here. It was so funny. So we've had, and apparently what they are is from a temp agency. So they hire these people to come and stand at the corner. So for like 2 weeks straight, we had protesters out here, and nobody cared. Everyone just, some people supported them and honked, or other people just, which was nice because this is a little lily white community in Ohio, and nobody gave a shit. Well, go ahead and protest. You're okay. We had one guy come out though one day, and he had it's the most ridiculous thing. He had a sandwich board on that said, "White silence is violence," and then he had a machine gun. So he had this big machine gun, and he was like king of the dad bods, He was just like this guy who was like, if you would have walked up to him, you could have just slapped him around and taken his machine gun from him, But and then so he was out there one day, and then the next day you had a guy with a Blue Lives Matter flag, and so they're standing 10 feet apart, and he's got his flag, and the other guy's got his Black Lives Matter thing. And then the next day you had another guy with an American flag out there. So he's holding his American flag. And I told Aaron, I said, I'm going to go down there with like my Key West flag and just stand there like for no apparent reason. Then we all have our flags all the way down the street. And yeah, it's even in this little town you get craziness.
I don't know what to think about all that because
it's hard.
It is. It puts everybody in a bad spot because even if you, for example, for myself, yes, I believe Black Lives Matter. Yes, I believe that our law enforcement's important.
Yeah.
If I shout one way or the other, I'm wrong.
Well,
and it's hard because I've always just been kind to people, and
I think that's the key, right?
It doesn't count here. There's no spot for that in this situation.
So I put a post up about that. Just don't be a dick. Just be nice to everybody, and they want you to. People. Everyone wants you because you have a company, and this really doesn't count. This Refined Savage is me, and I have a podcast with it. But Blind Dog, they want you to come out and say, we don't support racism. And it's like the 2020 equivalent of saying I have black friends. It's like, it's like the worst, So, we have members of the gym who are black. We have members of the gym. We have one kid who's Guatemalan. We have Puerto Rican. And I was telling Aaron, I said, look, all I can do is just be nice to the people I come in contact with and try to take care of them because they're part of the group and part of the family. And I only have a sphere of influence that is so small. So just be nice to the people you're in contact with. I can't do anything about Minneapolis. And let's really face the facts. I can stand on corners with signs here in Vermilion, Ohio, and I can yell and scream on Instagram, and nothing is going to change in Minneapolis. And it's not going to change until that city does their own thing. And it's not going to change in Washington until the politicians are different than they are now. So all you can do is just take care of the people you're involved with. And just, like you said, just be nice to people.
And I've been doing my best to educate myself, and it's been enlightening.
I'd like to hear opinions. So, we had Fred Lozano on here, who's a buddy of mine. He's a Puerto Rican guy, grew up in Lorraine, which is called the International City. And it really is. They had zero problems in Lorraine. Police chief went out and addressed a peaceful protest. And I don't even know if it was a protest. They were more like in support of Black Lives Matter. He went out and addressed them. So these are the steps we will take as a police department to combat this so it never happens here. Then they marched with them through the parade, and it was like everyone was fine. There was no problems, And Lorraine is a town where you have, I worked for the sheriff's department, and you had a lot of crime in Lorraine, but these people were all peaceful. They got along with the police department because the police department came out and just met them like human beings and said, this is what we're going to do to help. No riot gear, nothing. So, but Fred was talking about how Lorraine is a truly international city because when you went to school, you grew up with people from everywhere because they all came here to work in steel mills, 50 years ago. So it's kind of interesting. I refuse to put something up on Instagram for the gym that, we don't support racism, because unless I've done something racist, just assume I don't stand with racism, And I think that's just the way it should be. But people want you to make a stand, What are you gonna do?
I'm doing it my way.
Right.
I'm just gonna be kind to people.
I think that's all you can really do, no matter who they are. Yeah. Are you still working with the disabled vets?
Yes.
So what's going on with that?
Unfortunately, everything was canceled this year.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm still active. I'm contracted through I'm a contracted coach for the Army.
Right.
So I work with our wounded, ill, and injured soldiers. Some are active duty, some are veterans. And the big deal every year is the Warrior Games.
Right.
This year was supposed to be hosted by SOCOM down in Florida.
Tampa.
Let's do it. No, I'm sorry, that was last year. This year was the Marines in San Antonio.
Okay.
Really looking forward to that one because it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
That was supposed to be in September, but they just recently canceled that, understandably.
Yeah.
But I've been able to work remotely, which is unusual because normally I'm just contracted for the time I'm working with them physically. Since we had all these hours that was under our contract, now I'm working with them remotely with coaching apps, and it's working out okay.
Are you actually able to see these guys and do stuff, or is it more like programming for them?
I go through an app called True Coach, and they can upload their videos of them throwing, or if they're lifting. They show me one set of their lift, and I can critique it and send it back, and I'm writing on the programming for it.
So when you're looking at it, it's all these people with all these different physical limitations.
It's challenging.
Are you almost having to relearn how to throw because with every one of them is going to have a different.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
I can't. I don't know if I'd have the patience to do that.
No, but it's been challenging in a way that I want to make sure they understand what they're doing and enjoy it. And when they get that light bulb and that click, and it's like, all the work was worth it.
Right.
And it's been fun.
I just remember the only experience I have with this at all was Sarge up in Wisconsin one year. They did the para, what'd they call it? I don't know, some kind of para games where they had these guys, and Sarge, did you meet Sarge before? Did you start going up to Wisconsin when Sarge was the guy running it?
Mm-mm.
So Sarge was crazy. So he had these guys in wheelchairs. And when it was time for weight for height, he had this giant metal chair that he would set up under the weight for height and strap these motherfuckers in. And then have them throw a 28-pound weight.
Right overhead where they can't move.
Right overhead, and they can't get out of the way.
Gotcha.
So they're throwing it, and then they're diving to the right, and it's hitting the metal chair next to them. And me and Craig and Carrie are just like, oh my God.
Worst idea ever.
It was the worst idea ever. Or they would be in a wheelchair, and they would pick up a caber, put it in their hands, and then someone would push the wheelchair as fast as they could, and the guy would, in the grass, the guy would yell stop. You would stop, and then he would flip the caber. So
there's so many better ways you could do that.
And none of these wheelchairs are set up to do this.
No.
So they're like bouncing over the ground, and wheels are falling off it, and it was crazy.
No.
Yeah, but that was Sarge. Yeah, and I remember Lucas roomed with one of the guys who was an old Vietnam vet. And the guy was drinking Jack Daniels and smoking all night in Lucas's room with him. And Lucas is like dying because the smoke's so thick in there, and it was a very strange event. Yeah, that was my first time in Wisconsin ever, was for that.
And you went back.
The money was really good. You know the money's really good. Are you still going up there?
If I can. I mean, it's usually the same weekend as Pleasanton, so it depends on Pleasanton or Wisconsin.
If either one of them's open, you mean?
Yeah. Well, Wisconsin's closed. They canceled. So
they did for a fact cancel?
Yeah. Got the email. Was it yesterday, maybe? Yeah.
See, I don't get that. It's so far out, and well, I don't know. I guess if you're worried about your festival not having spectators.
Well, no. A lot of the time it's the insurance. Insurance is so high just to insure the game.
Yeah.
They don't have any vendors. They don't have any sponsors. It doesn't make sense to spend all that money on a game that's pretty much nobody's going to show up.
Right.
You're not going to make any money.
Yeah.
And you don't want to destroy a game just to have a few people play.
Right, yeah. So maybe next summer they can save their pennies and do it again. But it's just like businesses. There's a lot of these games that aren't going to make it, you know?
Well, hopefully they cancel them early enough that they can...
Wisconsin will probably be fine. That's a big game. It's a big deal. You know, Celtic will be fine. Pleasanton will be fine. But some of these smaller games, like I remember I used to go to all those Canadian games that were like, they were almost like neighborhood festivals, you know, because it was like Scotland. You'd have one in every neighborhood, you know, all over Ontario, and you know, one bad year and those things went under.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I kind of look at it too that the Highland Games is kind of like a part-time job for me.
Yeah.
So it's supplemental income that I'm not making this year.
Right.
So I miss them.
I
miss them. I miss my friends for sure.
Yeah.
We've Zoomed a couple times with some of the ladies. It's been fun, but.
Didn't you do like a happy hour with them?
Oh, yeah.
Something? I saw that.
Emily Adams came up with a little drinking game too. So
Emily is off the hook.
I love Emily.
She's crazy. I watch her Instagram and she's just nuts.
I love her so much.
Yeah, she's good. And her husband's great too.
Matt's great.
I've been meaning to get him on the show next. He was in town, and I wasn't prepared. He was like, oh, I'll stop out next week, and you know, you don't, and then it's like the night before, he's like, hey, I'll be there at 9 a.m. And I was like, oh shit, I just totally forgot. But I'd love to get him on the show too. And because he's the throws coach at Marshall, right?
Yes, he is.
And that's an all women's program, isn't it?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember Zach Ball was in the running for that job. And, it's been so weird because now we're starting to look at colleges for Hayden.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
Yeah.
And he's killing it. I mean, he's doing really well.
It's been fun following him.
What's that?
It's been fun following him.
Yeah, he's. But it's been so weird to, you know, he was preparing, and he went to states for weight, and then no track season. So that he's been waiting for years for this freshman track season, and it's gone. And I said, well, you know, it could be worse. This could be your senior year.
Yeah.
But
I feel so badly for all those seniors.
Right?
Oh.
I didn't even see it.
College and high school. It's just I know how important those years were for me.
Yeah.
Just as a growing human, you know,
right.
that mental achievement of going through that.
And you know, this isn't wrestling too, because wrestling, and bear with the analogy, but wrestling, you could win a state championship as a freshman because maybe you're in the 103 weight class. It sometimes will take these kids 4 years to get to the point where they're big enough and strong enough to throw these things, and then the 1 year where they're at their pinnacle, it's gone. We had a kid here, John Wirtz's son, and John was a discus thrower at Berkeley. He's like a 207-foot discus thrower. And his son signed with Berkeley on like a half scholarship last year, which now you look at it and go, oh, that was really smart. Whether, obviously he didn't know this was coming, but I talked to Hayden about it. I said, hey, start looking at colleges because, you never know. You never know what could happen. It might not be
you never
a
know
disease.
what programs may cut, especially this coming year.
Ooh, yeah, I never thought of that.
A lot of programs have been cut. They're going with Title IX, they're going with just budgets, and it's unfortunate. I did get to see Judd at the Cleveland Clinic on Monday.
How's he doing? I haven't talked to him.
He is rocking it.
Yeah.
Monday was his last day of his clinical trial for chemo, and I think he has about 18 months of just maintenance stuff, just pills he'll take at home, so he doesn't have to go and get any more fanny packs of chemo. But he's doing awesome.
So how was it when you heard him say he wanted to be like you?
Oh my gosh! Yeah, when you texted me that you're gonna love this, I'm like, all right.
Because I teared up when he said that, and I'm sitting there, I was like, wow, that's huge. It's been so long since I was sick, and I sometimes just want to forget about all the awful stuff, but it's just, I just remember how safe I felt with my Ashland family, and I just want to make sure that he felt that too. Yeah.
That he had all these people behind him with, it's a pretty serious cancer that he had.
Well, we have this weird coconut telegraph in our house, so. Jed and I are pals, but it's not like we go out to dinner with each other. We shoot the shit when we see each other. But his daughter is best friends with a friend of Aaron's, and Aaron works with this girl. So when Jed first went into the hospital with the bruising, she texted her friend texted Aaron, and Aaron was like, this isn't good. She knew right away what this was. And so did the other girl. So those two are talking back and forth, and they're, letting me know. So, I had this weird idea of what this was most likely before probably even anybody did, because I'm getting through, third-hand stupid coconut telegraph that's going on. And so when it came out, it was, it was shocking. But like you said, the amount of support was astronomical. I mean, people from all walks of life, people who don't even know who he was, I think, or just had a superficial view of who he was, came out of the woodwork. And we had one girl in our gym who had lost her husband almost to the day the year before from the exact same thing. Wow. So she's doing Logan Strong, and to the point where she collapses on the floor of the gym afterwards, and it was crazy.
But he's just been such a rock star the whole time, and every time I talk to him about it, he's like, well, just gonna do what Dr. Hetty says. She's my coach. I'm just gonna listen to the coach. She knows what she's doing. Yes, she does.
You guys were both, his hashtag is built for this. You guys were both built for that. You both had that absolute positivity and strength, and you were in shape, and you just had the right people around you, and both
I
were
really
built
just think
for
I had the ignorance to my actual fate, because I was not thinking about death at all.
It's got to be better when you're younger, right?
Oh yeah. But I just I was so focused on the trials that I didn't really think that being so sick that I couldn't compete was an option.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that the other doctors say, well, that was probably very unusual that you did so well.
Well, you get into your 40s and 50s and you start thinking about stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'll still never forget being at Celtic Classic and getting the phone call from Adam Eldridge on a payphone in tears. And I was like, oh my God, how long has it been?
Well, I was diagnosed in 2003, and then I was cancer 304.
So do you still go back? Do you have to get checked out every once in a while?
In a long time.
Yeah.
Actually, my oncology nurse is still very good friends with my mom. Imagine that. And she was checking in on my mom, and I said, well, I was thinking about going to see Dr. Knight, my oncologist, while I'm home.
Yeah.
Just as a, hey, how's
Why
it going?
not?
Check in. And it turns out he's having rotator cuff surgery, so he's not going to be in the office. I'll wait till next time.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I've been feeling great, and every time I get my blood work done, just annually, it seems to be fine.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be looking for, but.
How are you training now? Like, I mean, is there a
under it as well.
I mean, are you training just for Highland games? Are you training?
I'm just training to feel good.
Yeah.
But yes, for Highland games. Early on in the fall, I decided to go with an online coach to just keep me accountable. Because after I had my hip surgery, I went right from physical therapy into my season. So I didn't really have that base strength that I normally build in the fall. And then after that season, I just kind of coasted through and just went through. And so finally this past fall, I just decided, okay, this is the year I'm going to just buckle down and do the shit I hate to do.
Yeah. Who'd you go with?
I went with one of Matt Winning's coaches.
Okay.
His name's Ted Cox. He did an internship with Malcolm.
Oh.
But it's been pretty good. I've been pleased just with the variety.
Yeah.
I know it's a lot of stuff that I've done before, but I never programmed for myself.
Right.
And
Columbus guy or?
Yeah, I think so. I think the area.
Yeah.
But it's been helpful just keeping me accountable and making sure I make time for myself because I'm paying for this.
Yeah, right.
So when I'm paying for it, then I'm gonna do it. And
makes a difference.
when I was programming for myself, it was similar stuff. But then some days I'd be like, I'll just do my main lift and I'm out.
Yeah, right.
I got other stuff to do. But now that I have to report back to somebody, all of a sudden I'm carving out that hour and a half a day to do what I need to do.
I refused to do online programming for years and years and years until Andy Vincent got a hold of me and he said, hey, do you want to do a conjugate program for me for this upcoming season? And I was like, why? Why do you want me to do, you're a pro football player, a pro strongman, pro Highland Games athlete, and you're built like some kind of mythical Greek god. What do you want me to program? He's
with
like,
the velvet voice.
With the velvet voice, yes. He does have a voice meant for radio, for sure. And he said, I just need somebody to keep me accountable.
Yeah.
Okay. And it literally launched my whole online program. It's like, I'm going to put out templates for people. They can pay $25, and I don't really want to be the online coach, because I don't. The whole thing of my coaching is I want to be right next to you and say, do this.
For sure, I do like in person way better than online.
So I don't call it online coaching. It's just templates. You can follow it and ask me any questions you want, but I don't want to be an online coach. But now
you have to learn how to do that.
Better learn how to do it. And I'm glad we had it in place. We had 20 members, paying their $25 a month. But I talked to a girl the other day. She's selling her entire CrossFit gym. And I went down and went through the wreckage of her kettlebells and stuff and took a bunch of stuff. But she's doing everything online from now on. And it's something I need to focus more on, but I hope it doesn't go that way. I want to be able to just be in person with people, Well,
I know I'm getting kind of to the crossroads of, the personal training, because I've been doing it for quite some time, and I like it.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun, but during this quarantine, I was really just shocked how much I missed just having some time, even at the end of the day.
Yeah.
My goal every night is to make sure I'm home and I've had time for Jeopardy. And so that's helped my schedule a little bit. But yeah, so I'm considering doing more online stuff just so I can have that freedom to have the afternoons or whatever to do.
It's going to boom now.
It's really important to me now.
Yeah. What are you? Are you focusing on things now? How old are you now?
I'm 40.
I know, right? We're both old. I'm 46.
Speak for yourself.
Are you finding yourself focusing more on things like making sure you're sleeping correctly?
I've always been a good sleeper.
Yeah. Getting your 8 hours a night.
Easy.
Yeah.
Where I falter is more my food. Sometimes I'll be prepared. Like I had chicken this morning that I made for breakfast. But I might sometimes not get enough calories a day.
Yeah.
That's usually where I usually falter. I'm not too big on like gorging and having huge sweet fests or anything like that.
Yeah, right.
I don't know.
I think not getting enough calories a day is probably the way you err in anything, right? It's probably the way to go. I've been eating one meal a day for about 8 months now, and I love it. I feel great. I go home, I eat a huge meal, and then I go to bed. You know, I mean, it just works for me. You know, and I don't feel like trash all day long. And you know, you get that fasting in, and it's supposed to make you live forever.
Rest the gut.
Right. That's what I'm trying to do. When you, speaking of trainers, when you got sick and went to work with Charles, what was that like? Well, how does that come about? I mean, I'm sure Judd got you in with them.
Yes, well, yeah. Judd was one of his athletes when Judd was training, I think, for the 92 Olympics, around that era. But so as soon as I was diagnosed, he just called Charles, said, "Hey, I have someone for you," and Charles just said, "Bring her out."
Yeah.
You know, they just had that relationship, and so I went out to Tempe with Judd, and Charles did all sorts of evaluations, you know, functional strength stuff, all this normal testing that you do, and then so supplemental testing, so just some out there type, like holding the supplement over your belly or putting it on your tongue and testing stuff. It was pretty wild.
Freaky shit.
yeah, exactly. And at this point, I had not really done any type of studying as far as training goes, so I am just wide-eyed, just what's going on, just going with it, you know, and from that on, Charles said, okay, I'll take over her programming and get her on a supplement routine to help combat, you know, the nausea. And, so I would go out to Arizona once a week, or one time a month for about a week.
Yeah.
And train at the center, stay with some of Judd's friends that they had out there, and it was just so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I was still, again, just so naive to everything that was going on. And there's some, you know, pro players in there. There's some just very wealthy Scottsdale people there, you know. So it just still private.
I bet you have to be pretty goddamn wealthy to get a personal training session from Paul.
Yeah. He's pretty pricey.
Yeah.
But it was definitely an experience that I will never forget.
Yeah.
If I did train one-on-one with Charles, it was so much fun.
Yeah.
I actually, that's what I talked to Adriane about yesterday, is I wish I had asked more questions.
Well, you probably didn't know enough. I
didn't know what to ask.
Yeah.
You know, I just listened and did what I was told, and everything was working, so I didn't question anything.
Right.
You know, but looking back, I wish I would have asked, well, why did you like to do this? And you know, of course, I mean, I've done some of the seminars and certifications, so I've had the opportunity to ask other questions then. But just as the athlete in the moment, why is this working? Why is the muscle responding this way? Kind of, you know. So it was just awesome. I'm looking back, just really grateful for the opportunity.
Yeah, it's a shame he's not around anymore.
No.
You know, just from a purely selfish strength coaching perspective, that how much we lost. And it was so funny because I never met the man, but he's had so many characters that I've met that have gone through his program, from Adriane to Derek to Ryan Fanley to all these characters, you know, and you always talk to him about Charles, and they're always like,
I know, they have stories.
You know, like he was a pain in the ass, but he was so smart and he was so good at what he did.
Yeah. But it's just like the Highland game community. It's like the Politan community. If you had some sort of connection with Charles or the seminars, the certification, you kind of got it, and you knew that you had this network of people that you can call on any time for a consult or whatever it is. And I'm not sure you'll get that with an ACE or NASM or anything like that.
I look at those people and I don't know if Charles's personality attracted those people or they developed these personalities after.
I'm sure his arrogance and his just out there, this is how it is attitude.
Out there is a good way to describe all those, like Ryan and Derek and Adriane. They're all out there, but they're all very good at their little specific genres. Like if you're injured in my opinion, there's no better person to go to than Adriane. Adriane will fix you 100%. You know, and then Ryan and Derek are so good. If I wanted to do some kind of physique goal thing, I would go to Fanley in a second. Yeah. And Derek is working with freaking Zach Brown Band and sheiks from Abu Dhabi and all this stuff. It's like, what in the heck? And it's just he somehow attracted all these characters who went on to great things. Pretty amazing guy.
Yeah. And I know they're doing a lot to try to preserve his legacy and his teachings and make sure that that information's still out there and it's still accessible and valid.
Yeah. I sat down. I was at a wedding. I was at Kurt Hawley's wedding years ago, and I happened to be seated next to Bud Charnica. Do you know Bud?
I bought my weights from him.
Okay, so back in the day, if you wanted to buy bumper plates, Alico bars,
I drove up to his house and picked them up.
You had to go to Detroit, and Bud is I've still read some of his stuff. Bud is like the outlaw of Olympic weightlifting in this country. And I sat down next to him, and he's telling me about this French guy who had come up to him and bought all his books on strength training, all those books that Louis turned into the conjugate system.
That's here.
So he's talking about this French guy, and I'm like, are you talking about Charles Poliquin? And he was like, yeah, that sounds like the name. And I go, he's like super famous now, Bud. Do you not know who he is? And he's like, no, he just bought all my books. And I told him not to because he wasn't going to be able to read them or anything. And I guess he, Bud had learned Russian just so he could translate those books.
Yeah.
And he was like, he was trying to talk Charles out of buying them. He's like, these are going to be way over your head, and here Charles is Charles.
Right.
He had no idea who he had turned into, And Bud is just oblivious. He just Olympic weightlifting. That's all, the whole focus.
Yeah, he really.
I'd love to get him on the show. I don't know where he is
I
anymore.
don't know him.
I don't think he's in Michigan.
Oh, no? Okay.
I don't know. Maybe I'll get a hold of Kurt and see if I can find him. Should be good.
Well, tell me about the new gym.
Yeah, it's we started thinking about, you'd been to the old gym.
Yes.
And I started thinking about moving right around the first of the year. And we had a company next door to us that was a landscaping company. They were wonderful humans, but a lot of dirt and dust and hay and shit like that. And then, they would blow into the gym. And then on the other side of us, they opened up this factory that was making car parts. So you had all these people that were out on their breaks smoking and eating hamburgers, and I mean it was just it just wasn't a good fit. And the building was super old. It was super hard to keep clean, and it was 6,600 square feet, and we would use about 2,000 of those square feet. So I started thinking about ways, because I had started to streamline my training program. I really streamlined everything. Started getting a lot of Pavel stuff and just really streamlined. And then I'm like, well, I've got all this gym, and we don't use half it. We don't use half the equipment. And I really want to streamline everything. And I started talking to Aaron about it. We were just batting the idea around. And when the quarantine hit, I needed something to do to keep my mental. I mean, you know me. I'm out there as it is. So I had to kind of have something to focus on. And so I just started looking at buildings. I live a mile down this road, and the gym is a mile that way. So we found this building. Brand new, had just been built last year. It's beautiful, it's clean, it's about half the size of the old place. So I clean it every day, and I do it myself. I used to have a crew that did it, and I would come in and be pissed off because things weren't the way I wanted them to be. So now when I leave that place and it's clean, I know that I cleaned it and everything's the way I want it. And I started selling off equipment like crazy. And everyone's during the quarantine, are you closing? What's going on? My brother thought I lost the business. I'm like, no, I've got a mission. I'm on this mission, and I'm going to have all this streamlined. The coaching staff, the equipment, the building, everything is down to bare minimum. And I love it. I love it. So we'll be there for 3 years, 2 years, and then we'll do it again somewhere else.
Oh, man.
I thought that was my wife there. but at least, when we moved to this place, there was a lot of things that we were batting around in our heads that we wanted to do when we moved to Florida, because we had seen all the mistakes we had made. But it's hard to change course in the middle of something and just the next week come in and say everything's changed. Well, when this happened and we came back, everything changed.
Right.
And people are like, but they got used to it. So we do things like now, so we got away from the CrossFit model altogether. So we don't put scores on the board. If it took you 20 minutes to do the workout and it took her 30 minutes, whatever, it's your journey. We started if the workout ends at the same time. So if we're doing a workout we're doing like every minute on the minute for 30 minutes or whatever.
So you're still doing like a strength model and then your Metcon kind of deal?
Kind of, yeah. Okay. So we'll, our strength base is a lot of times EMOMs, because I like to keep people moving even when and then maybe we'll do an AMRAP afterwards. But if the class all ends at the same time, we spend either 5 minutes in silent meditation with the lights out, or we'll do some kind of hamstring, lower back, hip flexor stretching, So I came up with kind of our pillars of how I wanted the gym to go forward, and it was 3 words. It was health, strength, and form, and in that order. So we're going to really focus on the health of the members, making sure that they're sleeping, they're hydrating, they're taking the right supplements for their health. They're not a threat to getting this virus, because we want all those indicators on point. And the strength portion of it is, how heavy a kettlebell can you swing? How fast can you run a mile? Can you do strict pull-ups and all this stuff? And then finally the form is, how do you look in a bathing suit in the summer? Because that's what a lot of people want. So
do you have interest in going to like a soft tissue modality kind of realm for yourself, as far as being more hands-on, or you just like the coaching part?
I think I would be a medium. I'm a huge fan of staying in my lane.
Okay.
And I think that I could be a mediocre person to work on you, but I just don't think that that's my wheelhouse. And I just want to be as good as I can at getting people in really good shape.
I love to refer out. Yeah. I know when to stay in my lane.
Yeah. And I think too many people, every crappy CrossFit coach on the planet wants to be Kelly Starrett, and they want to be Charles Poliquin, and you just can't be.
Yeah. I feel I've been pretty fortunate that I've not had major injuries, probably more than I do.
Yeah.
But, I've made sure to pay attention, physical therapy, with Charles, with the internet, and I feel like I could help people in the meantime, but if it's something it's out of my lane, I send them out.
Oh, it's good that I found Adriane, and it was such a weird, I met her. Now, I live 30 minutes from her place where she does work on people, and I met her in Ontario.
Oh, gosh.
Which is hysterical, because we're in the bar, of course, me and Carrie, and Megan Tomei comes up with Adriane, and I don't remember the other girl. She was some
Victoria.
Who was it?
Probably Victoria. Falcor.
Is she the
hormones and
yes.
Yeah, Victoria.
She was not pleasant. She was not happy for some reason that day. She was not in a good mood. So they came up, and Megan introduced me to her, and Judd was there, and she's like 10 minutes later, she's working on Carrie in the lobby. She's got his arm over his head, and she's like digging in his lats, and here to find out she's in Rocky River, which is just down the road from me. So it was great to have her around. And Corey Lamar is a great chiropractor just down the road. So I have these people that are way smarter than I am when it comes to that stuff, and I'll get them in shape, and I'll send them to those guys when they need help. I think that's the best way to go. But I think when CrossFit got popular, everybody wanted to be Kelly Starrett, and Kelly Starrett's his own guy, man. And I don't know if
he was presenting information in a way that people never saw. And,
absolutely. And
it helped.
He coined mobility.
Yeah.
I mean, it was never a word until he came out. And he's such a personality that it started to become entertaining, So I heard a great podcast of his with Gabby Reese the other day, and she was talking to him. It was him, and because now his wife had breast cancer.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, so she had a real struggle with that, and she went through a lot of, what are the people in the CrossFit community going to think of me because here I'm preaching this healthy lifestyle and I got cancer. So she thought it was like going to be some stigma on her,
That's the healthiest I ever was, and, well, sorry.
Yeah, right? I mean, you could not have been in better shape at that time.
Mm-mm.
What do you, this is a good one. What do you think of the whole CrossFit fiasco
Oh,
going
man.
on? First of all, did you hear the Andy Stump podcast?
I did not.
Oh my God. Do you know who Andy is?
I do not.
So, Andy was a Dev Group guy, so SEAL Team 6.
Okay.
When he got out of the military, he found CrossFit, fell in love with it, became a level 1 instructor. Then he became Greg Glassman's personal pilot.
Oh, my.
So he got to see all the inner workings of CrossFit. So he quit and never really said why he quit. So he does this podcast after all this stuff started blowing up.
How recently did he quit?
Oh, years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, years ago. But he quits and he does this podcast and he says, look, I should have came out with this earlier. I am totally to blame because I was complicit because I didn't come out with this earlier, and I've kind of kept my mouth shut because I was afraid of being sued. But said this guy has always been a dirtbag. He's always been like this, and he goes, this is just the tip of the iceberg. He was telling stories like he was very much basically saying he was one of these Me Too guys. These like young CrossFit people working for him. He was saying sexual things to him, and he made a comment. I guess the thing that was the straw that broke the camel's back for Andy was Glassman was hitting on this girl. According to Andy, he was hitting on this girl, and the girl's husband was in Afghanistan, and he says to the girl, well, hopefully we can do a hero walk for him sometime, meaning hopefully he gets whacked over there. Awful. Yeah, and Andy was like, nope, I'm out. So I keep encouraging, especially women who are CrossFit affiliate owners, to listen to that podcast before you stick with, like, some of the big name girl CrossFit athletes are like, we're out, so I don't believe he's actually away from CrossFit.
No.
He said he retired, but he's still getting all that money, and he's still pulling strings.
Even if people say, well, why doesn't Rogue just buy CrossFit? No, I mean, then he's still getting money from buying it. It's just,
it's America. You can't take his business away, unfortunately,
he's running it into the ground at the moment, but
I don't know how many people de-affiliated, or it was funny though, because the night it happened, then I started getting texts from people, and I'm like, what is going on? So it's a Sunday, I'm not on my phone, I'm not really paying attention, and I'm getting texts from people saying, are you watching this? Are you watching this? And I'm like, what is going on? So I go to the internet, and it's just affiliate and athlete, and they're posting all this stuff, and Erin sends me this thing from a friend of hers that is losing their affiliation, and I'm like, so I had a couple drinks and just sat back and scrolled through Instagram and watched all these people just watch CrossFit blow up. But,
it wasn't anything exciting.
Yeah, just another crazy part of 2020.
Yeah, this has been a really wacky year.
It really has. It really has. And I'm such a, like I said, my mental problems.
Oh yeah.
I just sit back and just really looking into these conspiracies and what's really happening, and
What's really happening, Mark? What's going on here?
I'm not allowed to. Erin just shakes her head.
We didn't see the murder hornets. What happens next?
The murder hornets they found one murder hornet that was dead, and the other one apparently flew away, and then it was murder hornets that was coming out. I'm waiting for the resurgence, the COVID resurgence. It's going to come back, and I'm not buying it anymore. I'm not. We've lived through all this. We lived through COVID and Ebola and AIDS.
We destroyed our immune system by disinfecting everything.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. Yeah, because I never, before this, I never got sick, and I was working at a gym every day with these people who were going to come in and sweat it out, And I think it's just because you're always around people,
But the other hour was so much
I don't
bigger.
know. We'll see what happens. Hopefully, this will all calm down and we won't have any asteroidal impacts.
Oh my gosh.
Could be
that could be the next thing. I don't know.
Could be the next thing. You never know. Anyhow, do you want to head over to the gym and see it?
Yes.
And we'll go from there.
I have a gift for you.
I have one for you as well.
Oh, gifting.
Of course, gift time.
Yay.
All right. Anything else you want to say?
Thanks for having me.
Where do we follow you on Instagram?
Adri Sue.
There you go. Adriane Sue.
Yeah.
All right, guys. It's been the Refined Savage with
Bye.
Adriane. Bye.
And then the bubble.